My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey gang, welcome back. Today our special guest is John Cohen. He is zooming in from New York State, and John has been in the multifamily space for well over 10 years. The company that he has is Toro Real Estate Partners, and they do something a little bit different. They do a couple of things, land entitlement being one part of it, and really fixing up and turning around very distressed properties is the other part of it. So we're going to take a deep dive into that. John, welcome to the show.
Dave, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So for folks that aren't familiar with you, maybe give us a zoom out and give us a little snapshot of, as of mid-2025, what does the portfolio look like? What's kind of your buy box? What markets do you focus on? Just give us a little snapshot there first.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think we were tweaking this not too long ago, just because the market's super interesting right now, right? Is the nice way of putting it. So I would say the portfolio right now, we were net sellers of all our multifamily properties between 2020 and 2022. So it was dumb luck, great timing. I'd rather be lucky than smart any day of the week. So, but we still own a deal that we built. We built a ground up student deal. We still own that. And then we own two multifamily properties that were very distressed that we bought at the end of 2024 with a partner. So we partnered on a deal. We had a bunch of investors looking to place some capital, and just we weren't coming across some opportunities. So the multifamily portfolio is right around, let's call it 300 units. It was two smaller 100-unit deals and the deal we built, which is 72 units, so 272 units. On the land side, we own or control probably close to maybe about 1,500 acres. Some we own outright, we have title to. Others we have under contract that we're going through the entitlement process. So that's what the portfolio looks like currently. And that was coming off, about 4,500 apartments and about 3,000 acres of land. So we have, net sellers for the last 5 years. Now we are very actively trying to buy more, but I think a lot of listeners and most people know it's just been a little bit tougher to find.
So let's take a look at the land entitlement side of your business first. And for folks that aren't familiar with that, what does that actually mean to you? What does that look like? And how do you and your investors make your money with that?
Excellent question. So that's, I'll say the newer side, right? If you go to our website, for the most part, it focuses on the multifamily side. My background working at Marks & Millichap, it was in rental real estate. In 2020, when it became really difficult to find deals and travel, right? We're in New York. It was just, we were locked down. It was a lot harder to travel. We started acquiring a lot of land because, vacant, raw land, because there was no people, there's no tenants. It was a lot easier to digest, right? A lot of research can be done from home as opposed to touring 100 multifamily properties and, I don't like this, I don't like this location. It was a little bit different. So what it means to us, and this is coming from building deals and redevelopment deals. We look at the entitlement deals right now in two buckets. One, it's get all the necessary approvals for construction, whether that be horizontal or the physical vertical, or taking a property and getting it where we would actually acquire it and then doing some of that work and then selling it off at a later stage, or subdividing it down and selling off individual tracts. So it's all the necessary approvals for construction to begin. That's how we look at it.
Are you buying the property already zoned for what you want to do, or are you going through the zoning processes as well?
Correct. Yep. So we'll buy. Yeah. We'll do both. In a perfect world, the deal is not in the city and it is also not zoned. So we will annex into the city. Then we will go through the rezoning process, and then the preliminary
thinking like
plat.
Farmland, annexing into. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. So the two buckets are either very rural deals where you could buy 200 acres, buy the pie, sell the slice. So you get a very rural deal where you won't rezone it, you won't annex it in, but it'll be in county jurisdiction. where you'll go in, you'll buy a 200-acre property, you'll subdivide it down into 20 10-acre lots, and then sell off individual 10-acre lots, right? Not
Okay.
a lot of construction, not a lot of paperwork, a more straightforward process. Then the other bucket is taking a deal right on, the path of progress, right on the fringe of a city where the city's growing, where the comprehensive plan may say, hey, there's a lot of growth here. We want to build this out into residential. Taking a farmland or a rural property or an assemblage of a couple of properties, knowing that you might need a minimum of 50 acres or 100 acres to do it. So
Yeah.
you'll assemble a couple of properties, go through an annexation process, which allows the city to grow. So you bring the property into the city to get city utilities, then simultaneously rezoning the property, changing it from agricultural to either residential, a higher density, and then continue forward with the process, civil engineering to get that site approved for some type of residential use. We haven't done commercial or anything like that. Not that we're opposed to it. It's just where our bread and butter has been housing and
Yeah.
residential. So that's really the space we played in. We do have a couple of sites that have retail components, but they're afterthoughts, not necessarily the intent of why we bought them.
So when you're doing the entitlement process, it sounds like you built one property from the ground up, but it also kind of sounds to me like you don't typically do that. So at what level do you typically sell the property?
Where we see the most value before construction. So
Okay.
there are some markets where it's very hard to get something rezoned, where there might be a lot of value in the rezoning.
Mm.
Other areas where there's not much value there, so you have to take it a little bit further through the process. We're not opposed to construction. We own a 400 unit that we're going to be building in Charleston. We're going to take it we got an annexed and it was already annexed and we got it rezoned.
Yeah.
One's a 300 unit garden style, one's a 100 unit build to rent with a retail component. We're going to build that completely. So we're not opposed to that. It's just really market specific where we have relationships and bandwidth to do it, right? Construction is a very big undertaking. So if it's
Yeah.
a one-off deal, let's say outside of Houston or something like that, probably something we would avoid because we don't have any presence there. If it's in a market that we've owned a bunch of multifamily or we have really good relationships or a local presence, then we are more inclined to go forward with more of the construction. So it depends on where the value is, right? There are some areas that, like I said, that just there's no value in a rezoning. In that instance, we'll take it through a preliminary plat or construction drawings and then look to exit it. And there's some areas where, a rezoning is worth, a lot of money. So we'll go through that process and then sell it off. So it's not, there's no specific business plan. It's more geared towards what our bandwidth is and what we think we can handle from a construction scale. And then also, is there a pipeline in that market? A one-off deal, we will always look to not do construction. If there's a path forward to, 2 or 3 or 4 deals, it's like, okay, well, now it makes sense to get your site work ready and go forward with a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you guys have been doing that since 2020. Is that correct? That's sort of the business.
Yeah, and it's been the focus since 2020.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, yeah, we did do it right when we built our deal. We had done it in the past, not specific. It was more so geared towards, okay, we're going to go forward with the full construction, build it out, or completely reposition something. 2020, we were 90-10 pre-existing value add, heavy lift, distressed multi to land. Now I would say it's flipped, just giving the nature of where the multifamily market has been. Exactly. It's sort of, you're playing the cards you get dealt, still staying in your lane. You know what you do well and what you don't do well.
So give us an example. Everybody's got their favorite deal. So when it comes to, doing the entitlement type deals, maybe not one that you built right out, but that you sold before construction. What's your baby? What's your favorite one? That comes to
yes, I would say the favorite one, and this was just, I guess, timing more so than anything. We owned a property in Texas that we were going to go through with a full, subdividing it and selling it off. And just, the timing was right where we ended up buying it really right. And as we were going through the subdivision process and we were going to do a minor or an exempt subdivision and sell off individual lots, we ended up just throwing our concept plan online and a buyer that was going to go through with the full subdivision knocked on our door and just said, hey, I'll pay you for it. And it was not the business plan going in. So I enjoyed the deal because we got out of it in 6 months as opposed to maybe, 12, 18 or 24. And we got out at the price that we thought we'd get out by selling off individuals. So it was just right timing, right place. Additionally, I enjoyed it because the soil was probably a little bit wetter than you'd like. So you
Hmm.
probably could have ran into some, maybe, you take I think it was 150 acres and you subdivide it down. You might be left with one or two lots that you end up selling for, you hold them a little bit longer because they're not the ideal lots. So from my perspective, I enjoyed it the most because I didn't have to worry about it. It's sort of, we bought it and we were out, doubled our money, in 6 months. Whereas, okay, hey, if we double our money in 18 or 24 months, we'd be happy. We did it a lot quicker. So it wasn't our best returning deal, but it was just something that, like, we didn't expect going in that we were buying. We didn't think we were buying it that right. But during that COVID period of time, just seemed to go crazy. And then next thing you know, in 23, the value was just there. So for us, it just made sense to exit.
So it sounds like you're very keen on the whole entitlement thing, and I can understand why, even though not every deal is going to be a home run, like 6 months, double your money type thing.
Oh, correct.
But it can't be all sunshine and roses. What are some of the things that just kind of annoy you about this business?
The jurisdictions. That's the most frustrating part. It's just some of these areas, there's such population growth, there's such a demand for housing. The only way to solve affordability is to build more of it, right? And
Yeah.
there are these areas where prices have gone through the roof and there's no such thing as affordable housing. And then you're trying to go out and deliver that product on some of our sites, and you're just going in circles. The public, we don't want them to develop it. They're big bad developers. It's like, you guys don't really understand. Like, you can't stop growth. You could
Mhm.
be very opposed to it and make life extremely difficult, but it's going to happen with or without you. I'm trying to be, a cog in the wheel that
Yeah.
that that can make growth happen properly as opposed to improperly. So I would say the biggest frustrating point is, local jurisdictions when you get into the political
The
and
the
the
nim the
public.
NIMBYism, I think it's called,
There,
right? Yeah.
there you go. That's, one of our questions early on when we're talking to planning departments, and just, we'll go to Facebook and we'll look through a local Facebook community and just be like, okay, type in rezone, and then you just see the outcry. It's like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the market that you wanna go play in. That by far is the most frustrating part, and then the close second is just some of these jurisdictions uh, they have to feel wanted.
Yeah.
So, they turn around a set of comments and it's like, we had a set of comments today. It's like the letters have to be in block letters, not, whatever font they were in. I'm like, guys, like, we're really arguing about the fonts now. Like,
Oh my gosh.
there's got to be a better way to do this. So I think some of these guys just want to they're public employees that have to justify their jobs. So, it's like, I made my comments, right? So I think those are the two things that are probably the biggest negative versus like the
Both
multifamily side,
nitpicky.
which is it's nitpicky things. On the multifamily side, it's dealing with, tenants and rents and collections, right? We don't deal with that. You just, you deal with little nuanced things that are just like, oh, you have to ask yourself, do you really have to do that?
So do you guys raise private capital to do these kind of deals, or you self-fund most of this stuff?
Yeah, so we started self-funding everything on this side. There's smaller deals, and then we do have a fund out right now that we're actually closing here in August. We opened up our land fund. We raised it. We paused, and we had too much capital, and then some more deals shook free, so we opened up a round two inside of that fund. And the only reason, some of these deals are, our buy box is not including the purchase of the land, is somewhere between 200,000 to 5 to 700,000 of entitlement work, whatever that looks
Costs?
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were doing that a lot with our own capital early on, and then as we scaled, just coming from the multifamily space where your prototypical deal is, 10 to, let's say 8 to 12 million dollars of capital, it's really tough to do one-offs where you're doing, a $250,000 deal. You can't really raise that, right? It just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. So we opened up the fund to sort of lump them all together, where now you can go out and raise capital from, your prior investors, new investors, where it makes sense economically, and it's not a one-off. In addition to that, we are also pot committed into every deal we do. We do put a good chunk of our own money in as well.
Because you guys used to do like 90% existing properties and doing these massive rehabs and value add and all that kind of stuff. I assume you raised a bunch of private capital for that. Now you've kind of, because of the market conditions, flipped everything around. Has it been a challenge to show those old investors the benefits of entitlement versus buying something already built out?
Yeah, the two biggest challenges, obviously, multifamily over the last 10 years, it's hard to make a mistake, right? And if you did, the market fixed it. So,
Mhm.
your 50, 70, 80 IRR type deals, very hard to pencil today. So when you show people the returns in multifamily today, there's no attraction. The land deals do have a higher return. There's more risk associated with it. So that's been the equalizer.
Mhm.
And the hardest overcoming challenge that we get is there's no real tax benefits because
Yeah.
they're short-term holds. That's been the hardest thing that you can't, and we have a graph we showed, hey, here's a land deal. Our land deals are all done with no debt. So it's an unleveraged return versus a tax beneficial leverage return. So we've shown that like apples to apples to say like, hey, even if you're paying taxes, you still will make more. But there are some investors out there that, I got to pay taxes. I don't want to do it. So that's been the
Mhm.
hardest challenge converting over from like that, 2 to 5 year multifamily deal to your, let's say 6 to 24 month entitlement, where whether you sometimes take title, sometimes you don't take title. And that's
Mhm.
why you don't have the tax benefits. Obviously, if you don't take title, you're going through the paperwork and then you're just selling the deal at the end. So that's
Yeah,
probably
if
the
you don't have anything
biggest.
built on it, it's hard to depreciate anything, right? That's
eh, eh, And that's the other one, right? There's
yeah.
nothing there. We're not spending. There's nothing on there, so you can't take it. Land's not depreciable. So those are the two biggest objections of the return component. Equalize it, or like people like, okay, I get it, and then you just always have that tax objective. But it's like, hey, so you make 50% on your money, you pay taxes. It's just like making 12% on your money and not paying taxes. So,
Exactly.
you gotta be in it to win it. But
Plus it should be faster, right? It should be a lot faster. Okay.
correct, and no
Very
cash flow.
yeah.
Although
Oh
the
yeah.
distressed multifamily doesn't have cash flow, that's the other. Is there cash flow? It's like I can't pay you. There's nothing there, right? So
Mhm.
what am I paying you with? So that's always another hurdle. But you fight through it.
Exactly. Awesome, John. Well, I'm sure there's going to be some folks interested in finding out more about what you're up to with this whole entitlement thing. So, if people want to reach out and connect with you, where should they go?
Best place, the website. I would say social media, but I suck at it for lack of a better way of putting it. So our website is Toro, TOROREP.com. And then there's a little like invest with us thing. Click that, fill it out. I'll get an email or the team will get an email and you will absolutely get a response. Social media, I can't promise.
No worries. Awesome, John. Well, hey, keep up the good work. All the best with your future entitlement deals. And thanks for showing us what you're up to.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.